Second type of thing you're going to be asked to graph today is going to be piecewise functions. And before we actually got to the piecewise function itself, I tried to review what these mean right here, these inequality symbols, because with piecewise we do use these symbols. So this first one is greater than, then we have less than, greater than or equal to, and then less than or equal to. And then again, before getting to the actual functions themselves, I wanted to emphasize open and closed circles. So whenever you have greater than, you don't actually include the number 6. So if I ask, if I say x is greater than 6, I'm looking for numbers that are greater than 6, and unfortunately 6 is not one of them. So we don't include it. We have an open circle. If we have less than or equal to, if I were to include -4 as part of this, the equal sign makes it true. So that means we include the -4. It means we have closed circle. And we did do a couple more of those examples. This is the next one. X was less than 5. Less than. 5 is not less than 5, so we can't include that. That's an open circle. And then we had -1. And again, if we put -1 over here on this side, it's true because we have the equal symbol. So is -1 greater than or equal to -1? Well, it is equal, so we do include it. So it's going to be a closed circle. So I was trying to emphasize that before we even got into the lesson. And then we did a little summary, circle summary. We use an open circle when we do not include, and we use a closed circle when we do include. And then from there, we actually jumped into the actual problems. So here's the first problem that we worked on. Now, I have f of x, and I have this as that notation because this is what piecewise is supposed to look like. But then also down here, I reminded you guys that f of x and y are the same thing. So if you want to read these as y is equal to -x plus 1, and y is equal to x for this one, that is perfectly acceptable. Now, just like with graphing systems of equations, it's really important to identify what your b, your y-intercept, and m, your slope are. In the case of this first one here, 1 is my y-intercept, so I have 0, 1. And then for my second one, there is nothing here, which makes it 0, the origin, so 0, 0. For this one, the slope m is negative. It's a negative number right here, the ghost coefficient. So we have -1 over 1 as our slope for the first one. Over here I don't have anything, so I have a coefficient of 1 over 1. That's the slope for my second line. Now these come into play when you graph. You don't want to have your line going across the entire coordinate grid. If it's less than 0, you only take numbers that are less than 0 as far as x is concerned. And you do the same thing for x is greater than 0. You only want numbers that are greater than or equal to 0 here. So if we jump into the next one, where the actual graph appears. So the first one was -x plus 1. And we had x is less than 0 as our rule. So if we were to graph x 0, 1, that's our y-intercept. So this right here, our y-intercept, we go up 1 to here. Now the reason it's an open circle here is because over here we have a less than symbol, so we don't include that number. Now, the slope is -1 over 1. So originally, the way we actually graphed this is we went down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1 a lot this way, and then we went up 1 to the left 1, the opposite direction, up 1, left 1, and then we drew a line here. Now ultimately, we had to erase this side here because if you look, this is the x-axis, correct? This is 0, this is -1, this is -2, over here is 1 and 2. If I only want x values that are less than 0, I can only go this direction because that's what these numbers are right here. So this right here, this line, or half of this line, is this line right here, the first one. Y equals -x plus 1, or f of x equals -x plus 1. The second one, y equals x, well, our y-intercept, I already stated, is 0, 0, so we begin here. Now, our slope is 1 over 1, so you go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. You can also go down 1 to the left 1, down 1 to the left 1. You can draw the line this way, but right here it says x is greater than or equal to 0. So again, this is the x-axis. 0 is here. I can only have numbers that are greater than or equal to, so I do have a solid dot here, and I have 1, 2, 3. The numbers greater than 0 go this way, so I can only draw the line going in this direction. If I were to draw the rest of the line this way, that unfortunately would be wrong. So the important thing to remember with these problems here is If you do want to graph the whole thing to begin with, that's perfectly okay. But at some point, you do have to go back and you have to look at these rules here. Depending on what symbol you have here, you have to cut your line off at a certain point, and then you might have to have an open or closed circle depending on what the inequality symbol says. Good luck, guys.